You're listening to the Digital Deep Dive, where we tackle the newest trends, strategies, and pain points shaping growth across the digital landscape. From Amazon and D2C to international expansion, join our host and e-commerce leaders across multiple industries for in-depth discussions on how to maximize your brands in the digital arena. Now, here's your host, Aaron Conant.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Deep Dive podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Conant, and today we are going to be flipping the script. So some longtime friends, partners, supporters of the network over at Rise25 have known them for years now, got connected with them via James Thompson way back in the day around experts in the podcast space as a whole. And this is a thing that they do a lot, I guess, which is kind of flipping the script, which is then they're interviewing me. So I think a lot of you listeners know I spend a lot of time just interviewing experts across the digital landscape on everything from e-commerce to digital marketing to, I guess, AI now and cybersecurity. But today we're going to flip it. So Chad is here from Rise25. So this should be fun. Like, Chad, you want to jump in? And I'll kind of, I guess, hand it over to you. It's interesting.
Yeah, sounds good. Looking forward to talking to you. We'll just kind of get into, the state of e-commerce, digital marketing, AI, things like that. As we kick it off here, how do you kind of define, or how do you look at the current state of e-commerce and digital marketing today?
Wow. Oh, this is right out of the gate, huh? Yeah. So I think it's very complicated. That's what it is. I think it's changed so much over the past 6 to 7 years, obviously accelerated by COVID. And then just as things started to slow down just a hair, AI comes on the scene. And there's a massive push right now by organizations to have their teams execute using AI. And the tough part for everybody, and this includes the digital marketer, but there's no real direction on that. And at the same time, there's a lot of pushback from IT tech teams with security issues as a whole. And so as a digital marketer, you're being asked to do more than you've ever done before with newer tools that you may or may not be able to use and execute it faster and deliver results, all to a lot of executive teams that don't really even understand AI and agentic and what it means. And so it was just an interesting time. That's what it is. It's super difficult. And one thing I'd like to tell people is we're doing multiple, we'll probably do 20 dinners to 30 dinners on AI this year and a ton of webinars. Is right now 99.99% of people are at square one. So if you're behind, if you're listening to this and you think you're behind, you're probably not. You're probably the same spot most people are. And that's coming from, I talk to 20 to 30 brands a week outside of the dinners and webinars we do. And that's something that I think you should really think about right now and just realize that you're not way behind yet. It's not that you won't be a year from now, but you're not behind yet.
So when you say people are doing more than they've ever done before, I think when people hear AI, they think, well, it's just going to do all my work for me and they're going to replace me with AI. But you're saying that people are doing more than they've ever done before. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, just look at the if we'll pinpoint it, just like e-commerce and digital, the kind of the sandbox that I play in. Mm-hmm. If you think about what retail media looked like 10 or 15 years ago, right? It was mainly in store. And what are you doing? Are you an end cap, a display, an aisle interrupter? And now at this point in time, as a marketer, retail media also means all the retailers and all of their digital media networks, from Amazon to Walmart to Target. And so you're now being asked to not only come up with a budget and come up with a spend, but then in return show both in store and online. But then also which one of those are working and which one's not. Where should the next dollar go? So now you're talking about a measurement piece. And so, especially which a lot of people are trying to get in store right now, e-commerce is great. It's awesome. But at the end of the day, a lot of these brands want to get on store shelf. Well, then once you're on store shelf, where's the next dollar to spend? Is it on an end cap? Is it on an aisle interrupter? Is it, on Walmart Connect or whatever? Like, people don't know. And they're just trying to figure it out. So when you think about what else does that lead into? We're talking about measurement, but it's also how much content are you going to create? And then what type of content are you going to create? And then where are all the different platforms that you're going to deploy it to? And so that is all of those different aspects have just accelerated so much on the demands of the digital marketer. And yet, when you talk a little bit about the tools that are out there that are supposed to make this easier, a couple of things are happening. One is they're not really advanced enough yet. And number two, if you're at an enterprise level, a larger corporation, they don't want you plugging in these tools yet, right? All the cybersecurity threats that are out there. So even some of the tools that are out there that could do it, you can't even use yet. And so it's like the wheels are spinning right now is where we're at. And we're waiting to get through some of the mud till we hit pavement and it'll take off. How long it'll be, I don't know. But it's a crazy time.
Yeah, I bet. So AI adoption is a huge thing. Is there any other maybe important trends that have been shaping the digital and e-commerce space right now?
Yeah, let's talk through a couple. They go hand in hand. One is well on its way. That's the AEO and GEO space. So answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization. This is, if you think about where Google was in keyword stuffing way back in the day with SEO, we're at that point in time right now with these answer engines or AEO and GEO. So think about the LLMs. So everything from Rufus on Amazon to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude. How we search and how the customer searches on these platforms is completely different than Google. And where they go to get the answers is completely different than Google. I know Google has its own and that's adapting. I really like it, but I'm talking about the traditional Google search where you type in best black socks, right? And that would give you a result. People search completely different now. And, it's, hey, I'm heading to, it's more conversational, right? Which, hey, I'm headed to a wedding down in Miami and I'm looking for some fun socks to wear. Can you make some recommendations? And it's then kicking out recommendations. So it's changing the way people search. But more importantly to think about is where are those going to get the answers and how are they going? The thought right now, and this changes, I don't know, probably every month right now, is the first step of the place that they go look are the retailer.coms. Once they've gathered that information, is they can go into brand.com. That's whether or not it's a direct consumer site or just a marketing site, but then branded.com. And then after that, it's going to, the Reddits of the world and the other publishing sites to try to gather all the data. So a big trend right now is trying to understand, number one, where do you rank in these, right? And then number two is going to be, well, what content, where are they looking specifically for your product information? The next one is then understanding the changes you have to make in those spots. And then the next one is actually going out and executing those changes as a whole. So that's really big. It's at the top of everybody's mind right now is, number one, can I get a gauge on where I fall? Number two, what do I need to fix? How am I going to be able to fix it? And then how am I going to be able to go execute on it?
So if somebody maybe an entrepreneur or something, so like I've been paying a lot of money for Google ads and they've been working okay so far. But now maybe the game is totally changing. What is maybe the first step that somebody would want to do now, given that it's more of a conversational search?
You have to figure out, there's platforms out there, like an Azoma or a Profound, these platforms that are out there that are going to be able to tell you where you're at and where you rank. Yeah, that's step one, right? It used to be a little bit easier. I don't know if it's easier or not, if it's just something we've come to understand because we've been doing it for 20 years. It's just a new way of looking at that. And you have to get a tool that's going to tell you where you're showing up. That's kind of step one. Because this is a trend. I think they were saying there's a company we just did a dinner with Market Performance Group, but a Sensor Tower, who pulled a bunch of data. And I think on Amazon, over 30% of Black Friday shopping was done using Rufus. That's a huge number compared to, the year before. Massive number. So think that's 30%. It's bonkers. It's something now that's not just a nice to have, it's something you have to look at. If you look at how people are using Google now and Gemini and that AI answer blurb at the top, I don't know what the
Yeah.
stats are. I can tell you from, if it's my personal, I call it me search. From my own me search, I use that 85% of the time now. If it's just a general answer to a question, then I'm just using it. I'm stopping there. And that's a huge impact then on ads, right? As a whole. I'm not seeing any other ads. It's just what's showing up there. So if you're a digital marketer, if you're an SEO, this again, it's changing. It's changing quickly. So that's one of the AEO GEO piece. The second piece is that's coming up. They're trying to tie into is this agentic piece. So if you're at Shop Talk or eTail, you're at any of the big trade shows. Everybody's talking agentic right now. Agentic. And I'll give a quick blurb, and maybe some people will laugh. This is a typical agentic commerce talk, and I'll consolidate it into about, maybe 15 seconds. Hey, I'm here to talk about agentic, and these are things doing agentic things for you. And agentic's going to be awesome, and you should do agentic things. And that's what we talk about as agentic. Thank you for attending my agentic talk. Because nobody's actually doing it at this point in time. Some people are going to call, yeah, there's small companies doing it here and there. The reality is agentic, it's just not being executed at a high level right now for brands. Most brands that I'm interacting with are at what I would call like an efficiency AI stage. We're using it to help write emails or respond or to look at contracts or write creative briefs or get together I need a new, maybe it's a quick image generator. These are efficiency plays. They're not the actual agentic piece where you've written your own agent that is executing everything or a lot of a core process for you, and then going outside of your core system to make it happen and delivering results. We're not there yet, but maybe in a year. It's hard telling as fast as technology is moving today. But those were probably the two biggest things: the AEO GEO piece and agentic. One already moving quickly, and the other one we're still at the beginning stages of.
Does is content, like content generation, the key then in maybe for a brand to achieve success in marketing and e-commerce now with AI being the fundamental search tool, or is it something else?
Oh, wow. Content. Yes. It's funny because it always goes back to the basics. These are things back when I was on the brand side. The number one thing when I was talking with like the vendor manager at Amazon that we were dealing with was around the content. And that was everything from the images to the bullet points to the product description to the A+ detail page. It was all of that holistically as a content. A lot of times when people hear like content generation, they think immediately like an image generator or a video generator, and that's included in it. But it's also, yes, a lot of what you're writing on a page. And so, it's interesting from the standpoint of if we look at that content and the evolution of where e-commerce and digital seems to be going is if you're tying in to agentic, to these LLMs where somebody's going to be on ChatGPT or Perplexity or wherever, and they say, hey, need some recommendations on socks for a wedding I'm going to. And it kicks out an answer. And then you want to say, maybe it goes to 10 different websites and gives you 10 different answers. Well, we just talked about that content, what's going to make you show up in the LLM. But then what's interesting is if you say, it says, hey, would you like me to go buy one of these? Well, does that LLM care about site speed? Maybe. Does it care about the images? Maybe. Or maybe it just cares about whether or not there's a back-end site with an API connection that can deliver near instantaneous results back and forth really quickly. So does it need the aesthetics of a traditional landing page? I don't know. I don't know if this is coming across the right ways. The traditional landing page that we all go to, maybe it's, I don't know, barnesandnoble.com.
Mm-hmm.
The LLM does not care about what barnesandnoble.com looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't care about the aesthetics. It doesn't care that the navigation bar is on the left-hand side. It doesn't care about where the Q&A section. What it cares about is, are the products there? Is the information and the content there that it needs to grab and retrieve to return to the user? And so when we're talking about content, I think it's gonna be very, very interesting to see, hey, we have content that's going to be generated for the humans to jump on and use, and then there's going to be a back-end content that's going to be for all these LLMs, so that when we get to the agentic side, where you're having a back and forth conversation with the LLM, whoever that is, your shopping assistant, and say, yes, I need black pair of socks and black pants that go together, that it can go out and grab all the information near instantaneously and return it to me. And then I can say, go buy it, and it will go do it.
What does good personalization look like these days?
Wow. What is good personalization? Well, we're at an interesting time right now, because if we go back to like those pages and what they look like, we're at a point now where with AI and the ingestion of, so if you and I, technically where we should be at is, you and I go to the exact same site right now based on your prior purchase history and mine and search query history. What great personalization looks like is, you're getting a custom, you and I could be looking for the exact same thing, but you get a customized landing page and I get a customized landing page based on prior purchase history. Maybe you're looking for a black shirt and I've already bought black socks. Well, it gives you a black shirt, black pants, and a recommendation for black socks. But for me, they know I already have it. So you don't need to give me that recommendation. We're getting to that point in time where, and the fact that you can generate these individual pages near instantaneously, so it's not going to slow down site speed at all. Every person could have a unique landing page. This is stuff where, back a few years ago when they're talking about where CDPs were and what they were going to be able to deliver, and they were saying, hey, one-to-one personalization it wasn't there yet. They're saying, hey, just put you and everybody into cohorts and try to get as small as cohorts as possible. Now we are at a time where everybody that goes to a website can get a personalized experience on almost every page they click on.
Wow.
Which is bonkers.
For sure.
Now, what's holding that back? What's holding that back is, again, companies aren't always ready to plug that tech in.
Yeah.
Right. And they're still I just talked about like the digital marketer and the e-commerce teams as a whole. They're still trying to figure out everything that's been thrown at them over the past 5 years that's going faster and changing faster than ever, to go back and touch the website again. I don't know if people are ready for it yet. I don't believe they are. There's too many other things to do, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you say that's the biggest challenge a company might face in this age of digital transformation, or have we already discussed one previously?
I think fundamentally the biggest issue that I think this is any organization is going to face, especially in e-commerce, but I think any organization, is how fast technology is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even grasp it, and I deal with it and talk about it almost every single day. And it's changing faster than we can keep up with it. And that means fundamentally our jobs change so fast, right? Are we the experts that we used to be? And the answer is probably no. And that's hard. If you think even from a leadership level in a lot of organizations, you're talking 55 plus. And, it's a hard, I'm approaching 50. It's an interesting time in a career where you've been working for 30 years, and you're at the point where you should be the leader in almost every aspect. And now fundamentally the tools that you have to be using and you have to get your organization to be using, or you're just going to fall behind. You have to go back and relearn everything and realize you're not the leader that it's hard to be the leader that you need to be at this point in time, given how quickly everything's changing. And I think that's hard. I think it's hard for everybody. Maybe not my 20-year-old son, right? He's at the forefront of it all.
So when would you ever, so let's say, people who didn't grow up just learning it, somebody who's 20 years or younger, but now you kind of have to adapt to everything. It's more of an adaptation process than just a growing with it process. And let's say you've fully invested your energy and your time and your money to catching up, and then you finally are like, oh, and then you realize you're behind again. Like, when are you ever square?
You're never now. You're never now. And that's a tough thing, right? Like, you and I were never square. we can't keep up with it. I don't see how we do. But I mean, then you put it's like grading on a curve though, right? Like, hey, are you trying to improve every day, and are you staying ahead of everybody else? And that's kind of the game that gets played. But we're under sort of fundamentally changing, like, I think how we learn. I'll give you a crazy example. So my oldest, he was going back to school. He was home for a weekend. He's got an exam on Monday. This was just a few weeks ago. And he hadn't studied. He just been home hanging out with friends over the weekend. He's got a 2.5-hour drive back to school. So he didn't get to study as much as he wanted to. So he threw his notes from class into ChatGPT and said, hey, I'm a student at this university, and here's my notes from class, and here's the class. Quiz me and help me prepare. And then for 2 of the 2.5 hours, he had a conversation back and forth with ChatGPT to help him prep for the quiz, for the test or the exam, I should say. It was more than that. It was an exam. We got a 93%. So you think about you and me back in the day, we would have studied for hours.
Yeah.
Like prep time, taking tons of notes, written it all down. In this case, he said have a conversation back and forth. What that challenged me to do was fundamentally change, or I shouldn't say fundamentally, be open to fundamentally reevaluating how I encounter learning on a daily basis. And I think that's going to be pivotal, because we've all learned to learn a certain way. And the only thing I think is I think in some cases I need to relearn how to learn. And that's tough.
Yeah, I think everybody over a certain age probably does.
I know, right? Like, do you use AI today? Like,
oh yeah, I use it all the time, but I'm probably more like, I'm not using it for big picture, like reshape how I do everything, but I probably use it for a lot of things I used to think about over a considerable period of time. Now I use it to help me, do things quickly. Something that would have taken me a week now takes, 7 minutes.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
For everybody say, well, I plan all my vacations.
Oh, really?
It's just so much easier. Oh, everyone. Oh, the family vacations, right? And there's, 6 of us. We go someplace. It gets, every time. Yeah. When you hit the 6 point, going anywhere, you need bigger tables, more hotel room. Like that's, and then trying to manage the age groups and the disparity of what everybody wants to do. And so it's just amazing. And then it helps make the guide, and then they actually, they believe it, a lot better. Hey, if I'm like, hey, this is my idea to do it, the kids are like, we don't want to do it. But I'm like, hey, I asked ChatGPT and they said these are the best things to do. And they're like, oh, we love it.
So given that, does AI impact the way companies approach pricing and promotions and customer lifecycle strategies?
I think from that personalization standpoint, it will. As soon as we can get, so I go back like so we had the learning issue that's like a fundamental, like personal issue that people have to work with. From a company standpoint, the biggest thing for AI is their data. They don't have it organized, and they've been collecting it forever. But you think about AI, AI is a prediction machine, and it makes the best possible prediction it can make with the data that it ingests. And so if you give it really good data, you're going to get a really good prediction out. And if you give it garbage data, you're going to get a garbage prediction. And so what's really tough is even all these AI tools that are out there, they'll start with a brand. They'll have their use case, and they'll go through and they'll map everything in their AI tool based on the company and where its data at, how it's stored, and what it needs to do. And then they'll go and it'll execute. Then that company will then try to mass more and more customers, and they'll take, hey, look we did this with this company, we can do it with yours. So then they move that AI tech and they plug it into the new company, and that data is in a different ERP, a different CRM, right? Every file type you could imagine. And so that AI tool has been trained on a certain way to handle information, is now given that information in a completely different spot, and then it kind of breaks down. And so until we can get companies to have their data clean, formatted, standardized, and organized, it's going to be really hard for a lot of these AI tech tools to take off. It just is. So getting your data organized, standardized is probably one of the top things people should be doing right now. It's probably one of the top things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap things up here, I could ask you the same question tomorrow and you could have a completely different answer. But what do you think would separate maybe winners from losers in e-commerce over the next, 3 to 5 years?
Testing and learning. There's so much to be done, and it's nonstop. I'm a huge advocate for basically every company in the AI and the e-commerce and the digital realm should have an R&D budget set aside to be nonstop learning. And I say R&D because the R&D, I come from the pharmaceutical world, right? Like that money in R&D is already a write-off. And you're doing it, and you're not flushing money down the drain, but you're investing, not expecting any immediate results. What you're expecting is at some point in time, all the testing and all the learning is going to pay off in a big win. And that's what companies have to be doing right now. You cannot just say, oh, we're going to, let this fad pass. You can't do that with AI. You can't do it. And so as long as you're testing and learning, especially if you're doing it right now, you're going to be way out ahead. And you think about it in this space, if you're a year ahead, that's in the past, that's like comparable to 5 to 10 years ahead. Because if you can be a year ahead, you're going to be so far because it's changing so quickly. It's logarithmic, it's exponential. Yeah. And so testing and learning, and talking with others. I mean, networking. It's huge. So that's it.
Okay, good stuff. Hey, Aaron, great to talk to you. Very interesting and informative. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chad. This is fun. Flipping the script. I love it. So, I guess with that's it, we can wrap up this episode of the Digital Deep Dive. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening in. Thanks, my friend.